Hello, welcome to the What's New in Red Hat OpenShift 4.20. I'm Balaji Subramanian from the OpenShift product management team. Together with my colleagues, we're excited to share some of the powerful new capabilities coming your way in this release. Let's start with the big picture, how Red Hat OpenShift forms the backbone of the open hybrid cloud. At the very base, everything runs on Red Hat Enterprise Linux, the host operating system that powers our entire platform. On top of that sits Red Hat OpenShift, our enterprise-grade Kubernetes platform. This is where Red Hat takes upstream Kubernetes and makes it ready for production at scale, with automation, security, and governance baked in. You get all the power of Kubernetes, but with integrated capabilities like service mesh, GitOps, pipeline, serverless, observability, and cost management, all working together out of the box. As your footprint grows, OpenShift Platform Plus builds on that foundation with multi-cluster management, centralized security policy, and a global container registry, so you can manage fleets of clusters across hybrid and multi-cloud environments with confidence. For developers, we offer the Red Hat Advanced Developer Suite. This includes tools like Developer Hub, secure software delivery, and AI-assisted development workflows that make building, deploying, and maintaining apps much faster and safer. Then there is Red Hat Application Foundations, our middleware and integration layer that helps connect systems, manage APIs, and modernize existing applications. And on top of the stack, Red Hat AI. This is where application development meets intelligence, model training, fine-tuning, RAG, agentic workflows, and more, all running on OpenShift. It's how organizations bring AI into production using the same hybrid cloud platform they already trust. Finally, all of this can run anywhere, self-managed in your data center or fully managed through AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, or IBM Cloud. And that's the power of Red Hat's open hybrid cloud, one consistent platform for your applications and AI workloads built entirely on open source. Over to Nick to talk about what's new in base Kubernetes 1.33.
Hi, everyone. OpenShift 4.20 is based on the upstream Cryo 133 and Kubernetes 133, or Octarine. This release is primarily focused on security, performance, and developer experience. Some of the notable features graduating to stable are sidecar containers, which will formalize the lifecycle for proxies, loggers, and collectors with a restart policy of always. Additionally, new probe support will further standardize startup and teardown, and out-of-memory scoring behavior aligned with the app container will improve the reliability of sidecar operations. Additionally, volume populators, will allow you to pre-seed persistent volumes from any appropriate custom resource for faster data-ready workloads. Following up, NF tables for kube proxy will improve performance and scalability for Kubernetes services in comparison to IP tables. And finally, we have the prefer close topology-aware routing, which will optimize traffic to the nearest endpoints by routing traffic within zones for lower latency and reduced cross-zone costs. A couple notable features in beta will include in-place pod vertical scaling, which will bring vertical scaling of CPU and memory without restarts for smoother auto-scaling and fewer disruptions. Additionally, dynamic resource allocation, or DRA improvements, will bring better device and GPU orchestration for AI and ML and custom hardware workloads. Our NUMA-aware scheduling and asynchronous preemption will improve placement and scheduler responsiveness under heavy load. And finally, we have cluster trust bundles and admin network policies for stronger multi-cluster trust and platform-wide network enforcement. Next slide. In addition to what's happening upstream, in OpenShift 4.20, we are excited to announce a number of product improvements driven by customer request. This slide shows the top requested enhancements delivered in this release. Firstly, we have some significant GA items. For the security perspective, the external secrets operator makes its debut GA release, allowing you to securely manage Kubernetes secrets obtained from an external secrets management system of your choice. Additionally, new GA items include the support for bring your own OIDC authentication and the Zero Trust Workload Identity Manager, which will give you the ability to bring identity and attestation to all of your workloads running on OpenShift. Also, we have the default installation namespace for LVMS, which has been changed. This should improve monitoring of the operator as it no longer conflicts with the namespace for ODF. We also bring improved OC Mirror v2 which will validate credentials, the hostname, and certificates before populating the cache. This means that disk to mirror operation should fail much earlier in the process, minimizing unnecessary wait time. And finally, as a technology preview, we bring support for SE Linux read-write only and read-write execute persistent volumes. Now, on to the Spotlight section.
Thanks, Nick. Now let's talk about the Spotlight features in OpenShift 4.20, the major updates that shaped this release. With OpenShift 4.20, we are advancing the platform across three key areas: AI, core platform, and virtualization. First, on the AI front, OpenShift continues to evolve as the best platform to run and scale AI workloads. This release introduces leader worker set, and job set, making it easier to orchestrate and scale multi-role distributed jobs from large-scale ML training to high-performance computing. We've added the distributed inference with LLMD, a foundational capability for distributed inferencing at scale. LLMD is now included in Red Hat OpenShift AI 3.0, enabling AI-aware intelligent routing and load balancing for inferencing traffic, all powered by VLLM as a core inference engine. Complementing these, the new image volume source feature lets team mount large model weights directly as OCI volumes. That means no more rebuilding containers every time your model updates, dramatically speeding up deployment cycles. Together, these advancements, combined with the Red Hat OpenShift AI, create a seamless path to scale AI from experimentation to full production. We're also expanding OpenShift Lightspeed 1.1, adding multi-cluster support to simplify operations across environments. And we're excited to introduce developer preview of the Kubernetes MCP server, which enables AI coding assistants in IDEs like VS Code, Cursor, and Claude to interact directly with your OpenShift and Kubernetes cluster. Next, on to the core platform. Your feedback has driven major improvements in flexibility and security. OpenShift 4.20 now supports bring your own OIDC identity providers and promotes to GA the Zero Trust workload identity provider, delivering SPIFFE and Spire-based identity across workloads. We're also introducing user namespace for better workload isolation, and the external secrets operator, which securely synchronizes external secret stores like HashiCorp Vault and with OpenShift and Kubernetes cluster secrets. Networking gets a major upgrade as well, with BGP support in OVNK for on-premises network and a new 2-node high availability cluster with an arbiter, offering more deployment flexibility. Finally, in virtualization, we are enhancing our support for multi-cluster operation to include multi-cluster VM management and cross-live migration. This new OpenShift virtualization version also includes CPU load-aware rebalancing and ARM architecture support. Large VM migrations are now up to 10 times faster using MTV and storage offloads. Altogether, these innovations help you build, deploy, and manage applications with greater efficiency, scalability, and control, whether you're running traditional apps, containers, or AI workloads. Now, let's explore these Spotlight features in more detail, starting with AI with Gaurav.
Thank you, Balaji. So in OpenShift 4.20, we have added new features that will enable customers to run their AI ML workload on top of OpenShift, starting with like leader worker set. And this feature is more about bringing a distributed computing on OpenShift. So as the name suggests, a leader worker, there's one leader, there are many worker. Leader decide a job, how it can be diced and sliced, give it to the worker. Worker execute the job and put back result to the leader stitch together the whole results. Job set, again, as the name suggests, is a set of jobs, right? Which share the same life cycle. They start together, execute together, and end together. OCI volume source. So now OCI container image can be mounted as a local volume to a pod. So think about an AI model. It can be attached as a local volume and to a container, and then you can extract like weights and training data set right from that container image. Then Red Hat built up Quay 1.0. We already released GA. This is the second iteration, 1.1. And in this iteration, we will support all architecture types like x86, ARM, IBM Power, and Z. Then DRA, dynamic resource allocation. Previously, and specifically in DRA is the attribute-based GPU selection. And what it is previously, if you want to select a GPU, you have to say nvidia.com. Now, in this, we will allow you to provide allow you to specify the name of a specific GPU, like H100, A100, H100, so that you can call a specific GPU rather than a full provider. Next slide. Okay, so OLS is now multi-cluster with ACM. A user can go from the ACM hub, select a remote cluster, and from the remote cluster can attach cluster objects into the Lightspeed and ask questions about the cluster status. Next slide. We are also dev previewing OpenShift or Kubernetes MCP server in OpenShift. What does that mean is if you are using some AI-powered IDEs like Claude or even OLS or even VS Code, you can now directly talk to your OpenShift cluster in a natural language, right? Like now you can say, list me all the pods, list me pods that are not working, and troubleshooting live using a natural language. Next slide, thank you. So user namespace. Now a user can have a different UID on the host and can have a different UID within the containers. External secret, a user can have a credential store in an external secret provider and can bring that into OpenShift. Next slide and next presenter, please.
Thanks, Gaurav. AI and machine learning workloads have unique challenges that make traditional load balancing strategies like round robin a poor fit. Red Hat OpenShift AI 3 addresses these challenges with distributed inference with LLMD based on Kubernetes Gateway API Inference Extensions, or GIE. GIA builds on Kubernetes Gateway API and is included with OCP to provide specialized routing and traffic management for AI workloads. These APIs are automatically available on OpenShift when an inference pool resource is created. An inference pool represents a set of AI or machine learning workloads and an endpoint picker that contains specialized routing logic. LMD's inference scheduler serves as the endpoint picker by capturing telemetry data from VLM, enabling smart routing decisions based on the best available model instance at any given time. Gateway inference extensions are implemented using Istio's gateway implementation, which uses the Envoy proxy and is supported with OpenShift Service Mesh 3.2+. I'll now hand it off to Mark.
Great, thanks, Jamie. Next one, Border Gateway Protocol, or BGP. This is a highly anticipated feature for Kubernetes, and it is now natively supported for bare metal platforms and is integrated directly within OpenShift Networking's Oven Kubernetes network plugin. This is enhancing and extending the functionality that's already provided by MetalLB and the cluster network operator. Support for public cloud platforms is in progress and will be added in the near-term follow-on release. With full BGP support, cluster scope pod and virtual machine networks can be advertised directly into your BGP-enabled provider network, and BGP learned routes from the provider network can also be imported back into Open Kubernetes, either into the default pod network or a designated user-defined network. This bidirectional integration enables seamless route exchange between OpenShift and external network fabrics. The diagram on this page illustrates a couple of things. First, BGP can advertise routes between selected user-defined networks in an OpenShift cluster and the provider network using a customer's BGP router. Of course, route reflectors can optionally be used in between to improve scalability. The diagram also exemplifies the dynamic nature of advertised routes to a pod, or in this case, virtual machine within the cluster. If, for example, in this case, the blue virtual machine is migrated or failed over to another node, the BGP table automatically and quickly updates the advertised route for that virtual machine's network. While BGP does not require user-defined networks, the two technologies really complement each other to enhance multi-tenant networking and connectivity. Next slide with Anjali, please.
Thank you so much, Mark. We are very excited to announce the general availability of Zero Trust Workload Identity Manager on OpenShift 420 by the end of this year. This brings upstream SPIFFE and Spire capabilities on OpenShift and provides runtime attested cryptographically verifiable identities for all your workloads, whether they be on-prem, in the cloud, or at the edge. Core capabilities with our operator includes auto registration for your workloads with our Spire Controller Manager, Spire to Spire federation capabilities to ensure that your trust domains across these multiple clouds and platforms are well connected, OIDC federation to integrate with your identity provider, secretless authentication with Vault to dynamically retrieve secrets for your workloads, reducing the reliance on static secrets, and flexible configuration and BYODB, which helps with your enterprise needs and with your enterprise production needs. Looking ahead, we look to integrate with Red Hat products and expand our use cases and make workload identity a foundation of your Zero Trust architecture. Next slide, please. We are very excited to also announce the general availability of Bring Your Own External Authentication on OpenShift. The solution has been available on ROSA hosted control planes since last year, and we are very excited that we are able to announce the general availability of it for both self-managed as well as Arrow HCP. For self-managed, this helps seamlessly bring your corporate identity providers and provide direct integration to your APIs, your OpenShift APIs. We will support both in fresh installs as well as upgrades, and administrators can switch between their built-in OAuth functionality and the external OIDC. Of course, you would want to back up your users and groups to make sure that there is no disruption. Customers benefit from using their corporate identity tokens directly for API access, having a unified access management for users and groups throughout their deployments and clusters, alignment with their tooling. If you have your own tooling, you can reuse that for multi-cluster authentication, and ability to have session control and configuration for your compliance needs. Next slide and next presenter, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali. Here is another feature that is now general available. This one is focused on large-scale edge deployments where you have hundreds or thousands of sites, each with a cluster. Examples are retail stores or manufacturing sites. The cost of the hardware is a challenge here, especially when decent high availability is required. Here, our new topology comes into play. Two-node OpenShift with Arbiter. The trick is that the workload runs on two regular server-grade nodes. To ensure quorum, a high availability, a small third node called the Arbiter node is used. This Arbiter node runs only the third etcd instance. It requires just 2 vCPUs, 8 GB of RAM, something like the size of a NUC system is enough, and that's way cheaper. But still, it is as resilient and as a regular 3-node cluster. Two-node OpenShift with Arbiter is supported on x86 and ARM bare metal deployments using standard installation methods like the agent-based installer. For hyperconverged software-defined storage, we have partners standing by to provide a solution. And OpenShift Virtualization is also fully supported on this new topology. Speaking of OpenShift Virtualization, Ronan, what's new there?
Hey, Daniel, thank you very much. So OpenShift Virtualization brings a lot of new capabilities, but due to the short amount of time that we have, I'll only name a few. Multi-cluster VM management is a new feature that allows the creation and management of virtual machines across multiple clusters from a single pane of glass. The tree view in the VM list page allows you to navigate and manage VMs on any of the managed clusters. This feature requires OpenShift and Option Virtualization 420 and ACM as the hub to enable it. Another multi-cluster related capability is live migration of virtual machines between clusters. This is a tech preview feature and can be used for things like load balancing of VMs across clusters and a way to increase the VM availability. As far as customers that are migrating VMs to OpenShift Virtualization, MTV can now reduce the time it takes to migrate large VMs into OpenShift Virtualization with storage offload. This uses the storage array capabilities for fast copy of the data and can expedite the migration process by up to 10 times. It is available with some storage models from Hitachi, NetApp, Dell, Pure, and HPE. We will continue to work with other storage vendors to include additional storage arrays. Mark already mentioned the BGP support, and it is great, and it is also available for virtual machines. We also added the ability to set NIC link status to up and down on running virtual machines. And next slide, please. If you'd like to learn more about OpenShift Virtualization and what's new there, next week we have an hour-long webinar to cover that. You can register for this webinar using the QR code or the link in this slide. And I'll hand it over to Vanessa.
Thank you so much, Ronen. So the cluster observability operator, CO, wants to be a single entry point for observability. Not only it is designed to provide a highly customizable and scalable monitoring stacks that go beyond the default monitoring capabilities of OpenShift, but it also enables observability UI plugins and related analytics features in the OpenShift console. But what's new? First thing first, users can now leverage the incident detection MCP server that allows them to integrate incident detection with OpenShift Lightspeed to get answers to specific questions such as, is my cluster healthy? Or are there incidents firing, as you can see from the right side of the slide? This is a developer preview release, and it is shipped starting with CO 1.2.2. A dedicated blog is now available. In addition to this news, the 1.3 release coming soon provides a series of announcements. We have the general availability of incident detection and observability signal correlation. We will look into those features in a minute. And then we have a brand new application performance monitoring or APM dashboard from tracing. And lastly, users can benefit from enhancements in the traces UI, now supporting spam links, for example. Next slide. As I just mentioned, incident detection for Red Hat OpenShift becomes generally available with the upcoming Cluster Observability Operator 1.3 release, allowing users to deal with alert noise more effectively and at rapid speed. Incident detection is a critical capability that transforms a reactive monitoring strategy into a proactive, analytics-driven approach. Instead of just getting overwhelmed by the amount of alerts, incident detection helps you understand the bigger picture, that multiple alerts are related to a single underlying issue. So incident detection groups alerts into logical incidents by analyzing multiple firing alerts to determine if they are related to a single root cause. So moreover, this feature allows users to prioritize and formulate an action plan. So incident detection analyzes the severity of the alerts within an incident to give it a color-coded status, helping users prioritize which incidents to address first. Next slide. We are glad to announce that observability signal correlation for Red Hat OpenShift also becomes generally available with the upcoming Cluster Observability Operator 1.3 release. So signal correlation provides users with the capability of automatically linking together different types of telemetry data from heterogeneous data stores, including Thanos, Loki, and Tempo, therefore metrics, logs, traces, alerts, and other resources, to quickly understand the relationships between them. This is critical for finding the root cause of an issue and drastically reducing the time it takes to resolve it. Instead of manually searching through siloed data stores, signal correlation provides a unified view and a guided troubleshooting experience with a dedicated troubleshooting panel in the OpenShift console. Install the Cluster Observability Operator and give it a try. We're looking forward to receiving your feedback. Next slide, and over to Christian.
Thanks, Vanessa. We are glad to inform you that the right-sizing feature for OpenShift virtualization will be available as technology preview in ACM 2.15. This new capability helps users identify over-provisioned or underutilized virtual machines, avoiding unnecessary costs and empowering users to make a more efficient use of the infrastructure. By analyzing near real-time resource consumption like CPU and memory and comparing it with originally requested resources, this feature offers recommendations to optimize workloads at the VM and cluster level. The output is currently displayed as a dashboard in the ACM observability console. And now let's look into the AI accelerators ecosystem. Next slide, please.
Yeah, thank you, Christian. So with OpenShift 4.20, we continue to strengthen our AI accelerator ecosystem, delivering enterprise-grade performance, security, and flexibility across a wide range of hardware platforms. NVIDIA remains the center to this journey. The NVIDIA GPU Operator 2510 now brings vGPU support for OpenShift virtualization, including MIG-backed profile that let you partition GPUs for multiple AI workloads. It also integrates DCGM telemetry and adopts default CDI for simple device management, so the operators can deploy and monitor their accelerators more easily. Plus, it now ships with UBI stick Red Hat hardened base images, offering FIPS compliant enterprise secure driver containers. On the AMD side, we are extending feature parity through AMD GPU operators, which includes MI300X SRIOV partitioning, enabling fine-grained accelerator sharing across virtual machines. It also delivers enhanced observability through the device metric exporters, allowing administrators to track GPU health, utilization, and performance in a unified view. And beyond GPUs, innovation continues. So Rebellions has now certified their Atom NPU operators on OpenShift, proving that our accelerator stack extends seamlessly to next generation AI silicon, from GPUs to NPUs and beyond. Altogether, OpenShift 4.20 reinforces Red Hat's mission to deliver the most open, secure, and hardware flexible AI platform in the industry, built on a strong partnership with NVIDIA, AMD, and emerging innovators like Rebellions. OpenShift empowers our customers to run AI workloads anywhere from data center to edge. Now with the foundation around the accelerators covered, let's shift our focus to hosted control planes. Next slide, please.
Hosted control planes. In this release, and while we're working on this towards 2026, we added a lot of improvements to Arrow with hosted control planes. Cluster autoscaler API for hosted clusters. Now you can customize things like the CPU utilization thresholds directly from the hosted clusters API. For example, now you can decide when, at which point you want to scale out your hosted clusters instead of having it hard-coded in the code. CNI certification for HCP, we added this during the 4.20 release, and we already have our first CNI partner certified. That was Isovalent, and Tigera is coming soon. OVN IPv4 subnet configuration, we added support again to the hosted cluster API to the OVN Kubernetes config to allow more advanced networking features in the IPv4 configurations of hosted clusters. And we have G8 dual stack IPv6, IPv4 in hosted clusters for bare metal. And not only that, we've added support from 4.18 onwards as G8. And during this release, and especially this past summer, we've added a lot of documentation improvements, taking a lot of the feedback that we got from our customers around deploying hosted control planes on-prem. And if you take a look at the new documentation, you will see lots of improvements. Next slide for the ACM team.
Thank you. Let me present latest updates from ACM 2.15. We are happy to announce that managed cluster migration as part of Global Hub Operator has been promoted to GA. It lets you seamlessly move managed clusters from one ACM hub to another and enables administrators to rebalance workloads across their hub clusters. We have enhanced the user experience for managing virtual machines across the fleet and achieved general availability. We offer a tree view on a multi-cluster level for better visibility, as well as detailed VM views. We allow secure access to VMs on remote clusters. A set of actions, including multi-select, provides common VM operations directly from the management console. We achieve technology preview for cross-cluster live migration, which can be enabled via add-on. A live migration can be triggered as an action from the fleet virtualization view. Our goal is also to provide a robust validation for reliable transfers. With its 3.20 release, Gatekeeper Operator expanded, including separate configuration of validating and mutating webhooks. Failure policy, namespace selector, webhook timeouts, rules and resources, and annotations for gatekeeper pods. Policy tools dry run on live cluster provides an option to evaluate a policy in its behavior against a cluster without having to apply it. Next slide, please. We have promoted application sets in any namespace to technology preview. It allows development teams to manage their GitOps resources in their own namespaces. Argo CD agent managed by ACM is now in technology preview, where our focus is its lifecycle management. We are adding a sync action for application sets in the UI so that critical changes in Git can be applied immediately. Regarding cluster lifecycle management, a key update is our work on the cluster API operator, which is now GA. Goal is to enable users to manage ROSA-hosted control plane clusters. We now officially support installer-provisioned infrastructure Nutanix to expand our private cloud portfolio. As major milestone, we achieved metrics collection for multi-cluster observability add-on SGA. Key benefits are improved configurability, sharded federation, standard remote write, and enhanced resiliency. We have clarified documentation around backup and restore for multi-cluster observability. Together with the OpenShift monitoring team, we've achieved technology preview for multi-cluster alert management. This allows you directly embedded into OpenShift console monitor and handle alerts across the entire fleet. Lastly, we have delivered enhancements regarding the integration of Global Hub for better consume and display of collected metrics from child hub clusters, also considering they might have been renamed or self-management has been disabled. And now let's move to ACS. Next slide, please.
Now let's talk about Red Hat Advanced Cluster Security and some of the main features in 4.9 version. First, we now have ACS integration with ServiceNow. This feature populates ACS vulnerability data directly into the ServiceNow container vulnerability response application, which helps you support your custom vulnerability management workflows. Following that, we have introduced view-based vulnerability reporting, letting you export filtered vulnerability data as CSV files, giving you flexibility when analyzing specific security concerns. For machine automation and DevSecOps, we are enabling declarative configuration for machine-to-machine authentication, which makes it easier to set up machine access to ACS APIs. On a related note, we are now exposing ACS Prometheus metrics on Central that can be visualized in custom dashboarding tools like Grafana or Persis. We have also made a couple of updates to streamline management. We now have automatic process baseline lock-in to avoid manual configuration and streamline suspicious process detection. And we have updated the policy management with a more intuitive editor and comprehensive documentation. Finally, we are launching in dev preview the vulnerability reporting for virtual machines on Red Hat OpenShift Virtualization. This is an agent-based solution for RHEL Guest OS that gives you a unified view of vulnerability reporting across both containerized and VM workloads. And now let's move to Quay updates.
Thank you. Today, I'm here to highlight the key enhancements in the Quay 3.16 release. First, image tag popularity tracking. Quay can now record the last pull time and pull count for the image tag, providing the foundational data you need to develop custom pruning logic today and paving the way for future automated storage optimization. Next, we focus on security and operations. OIDC PKC support ensures secure authentication with modern identity providers, and for admins, the operator now supports custom storage class, giving you the flexibility to choose performance-optimized storage backends for your databases. Last but not least, the modernized new Patternfly UI is now the default, offering a consistent look and feel with other Red Hat products and easier navigations. We encourage you to check out the full release note for all the improvements and plan for their upgrades. With that, I'll hand it over to Eric for monitoring.
Thank you, Tony. So let's get into it. With OpenShift 4.20, we're introducing a set of enhancements in our monitoring stack, both new features and important updates. We've enabled our Assist CTO node exploiter collector. For our SREs and operation team, this is a powerful new tool. It means they can troubleshoot complex networking issues by getting kernel-level metrics directly into Prometheus, which dramatically reduces the time it takes to diagnose problems. Next, we've enhanced our kube state metrics by adding multi-tenancy support to custom resource states. This is a critical improvement for scalability and stability, especially in large complex clusters where many teams are defining their own custom resources. And finally, we made it possible to directly change the log verbosity of the metric server. It's a small but very important quality of life improvement that gives operators the granular control they need when actively debugging issues. From an improvements perspective, we've implemented network policy support for monitoring components. This is a step forward for security. It allows administrators to enforce a zero trust model and lock down network traffic to and from the monitoring stack. And finally, as you can see from the list, we've completed a round of component updates across the stack by bumping Prometheus, Xanos, KSM, and other key components through these newer versions. We ensure our users benefit from the latest performance optimization, bug fixes, and security patches from the upstream projects. Next slide. On the log collection front, we're making it easier to leverage AWS S3 for cost-effective, high-volume, long-term log storage. This will help centralize logs to reduce costs, ensure compliance, and improve security analysis and troubleshooting. We're also expanding CloudWatch assume role authentication to support both IAM and AWS access key types. This ensures consistent authentication logic across our services and prepares for future S3 integration. On the log storage front, we're providing a comprehensive approach to low-key troubleshooting that pinpoints bottlenecks, optimizes parameters, and integrates upstream insights with Red Hat recommendations for quicker resolutions. And finally, Loki Stack now differentiates between running and ready states, enabling alerts for unready instances that previously led to unnoticed data loss. Next slide, please. On the tracing front, in Distributed Tracing 3.7, we're offering the Open Telemetry Probabilistic Sample Processor as a tech preview. This processor allows users to lower span collection costs by using randomized sampling techniques. We're also allowing the deployment of custom exporters. Custom exporters will allow customers to deploy third-party exporters that they may need. We're also upgraded Tempo Trace storage to version 2.8.2. This upgraded version brings improvements to trace QO queries and also improvements to Tempo compactor memory. And finally, we are now exposing the Tempo gateway using route re-encrypt to support wildcard certificates. Next slide and presenter.
Hey folks, Alan over here. So welcome to the new unified software catalog for the OCP console. Our goal here is to reduce cognitive load and simplify the way our users install and manage software running on the cluster. Users will now see a new ecosystem nav menu in the navigation. Under that, you will see a new software catalog entry that merges our previous operator hub and dev catalog experience into one. You could still do everything that you could previously do, but from one location. This means there will no longer be a dev catalog under the home menu or a separator operator section in the nav menu as well. So please give it a try and let us know what you all think. Next slide, please. All right, so previously users were only able to update control plane machine sets via the CLI. Now in 4.20, users can manage their control plane machine sets directly in the OCP console. This provides our users with an improved user experience by allowing UI-driven lifecycle management, increased visibility into automated control plane node replacement, reduces reliance on the CLI, making node lifecycle automation more accessible to everybody, and aligns with our other machine API resources, ensuring a consistent experience for all. Again, please try it out and let us know what you all think. Next slide, please. All right, so this is my favorite slide. This is what I call the customer happiness. This is direct customer request to us. So first up, we got the full screen mode for YAML editor, right? Currently, YAML view within OpenShift Web Console is constrained to a fixed small plane making it challenging for users to effectively view, navigate, and edit large or complex YAML files. Full screen mode will address this for y'all. Next up, we have copy to clipboard. During their daily work with OpenShift, users frequently repeat certain actions. One common example is copying YAML definitions from the OpenShift web console into external systems. This RFE aims to address that issue. Next up, we have the ability to set custom icons for their catalog template. Template authors can now enter a URL pointing to the image using the icon class annotation to show a custom icon. After that, we have added the ability to set application icon in the topology view as well. So users can now set runtime icon label on their application, allowing them to specify a URI to an SVG file that better represents their application. Finally, we've enhanced the dynamic plugin framework to enable the classic pod ring set visualization. This allows users to add the visual to their custom pages that manages rollouts, giving users a consistent experience throughout the OCP console. That's it for me. So next slide, please. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks. Let's dive into the high-impact features of the Red Hat Developer Hub 1.7 release. First, let's look at the experience. The 1.7 release brings a fresh, new look and feel to the Developer Hub homepage. And for our platform engineers, we've introduced a quick start guide to get RHDH configured and running in a breeze, saving significant setup time. Switching to dynamic plugins, a huge enhancement is the ability to now install and configure them directly from the extension catalog plugin. This makes using dynamic plugins much simpler. And speaking of the catalog, we now features 2 certified plugins from key partners, Dynatrace and IBM. And to assist with plugin management, there is a new RHDH CLI available for developers. Next, on integrations, our new ServiceNow plugins allows developers to track the status of their request directly within the Developer Hub. No more context switching. Moving to our future vision, Developer Lightspeed for RHDH is now available as a developer preview. We highly encourage you to try it out and share your critical feedback with us. Self-service templates are now versionable, which is a key capability for managing changes. Finally, our Adoption Insight plugin is now GA and enabled by default, which gives you immediate and valuable metrics right out of the box. Now I'm going to turn it over to Matt. Thanks.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to share the highlights of our latest Podman desktop release. First up, the user experience gets a major upgrade with clearer dashboard notifications and an updated onboarding flow, making it easier than ever to get started. You can now switch namespaces and contexts in the Kubernetes and OpenShift UI to manage multiple clusters without leaving the app. libkrun is now the default provider on macOS. It unlocks GPU access for your containers, perfect for AI workloads. There's also exciting updates regarding extensions. We added a new Apple Containers extension. This allows you to view and manage your Apple containers without switching tools. Lastly, with the Microshift in Container extension, you can start Microshift in a container for a lightweight local Kubernetes development experience. Thank you, everyone. Check out podman-desktop.io for more details on all of these things. Handing it off to Mokhtar.
Hello there. So onto Dead Spaces. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's a cloud development environment platform that allows developers to remotely code and run applications using an IDE running on your OpenShift cluster. We've released 2 new versions since the last What's New, which are 3.22 and 3.23. So we'll quickly go over a few of the new features. First up, we've added a way for admins to host JetBrains IDEs on an internal network, so you no longer need to download them from the internet when a developer starts a workspace. And we've also added support for Rider, Golang, and PHP Storm. Next up, we've also added a way for admins to deploy an on-prem instance of the OpenVSX extension registry, where you can host all your extensions internally and then point Dead Spaces to it. So another great addition for anyone on an air-gapped cluster. We've also added support for ARM64 architecture, and for now this is currently limited to the VS Code Web IDE. Lastly, as we've seen lots of customers start to scale up their adoption, we've added an auto pruner that, when configured, reduces the etcd usage of Dead Spaces and helps it run at scale. Thank you, and on to you later.
Hello, everyone. We are excited about the Red Hat Trusted Artifact Signer version 1.3 as it extends cryptographic protection from regular software artifacts to AI deployments with the introduction of the model transparency library. So when a model is ready for deployment, a cryptographic hash of the model and all its files and metadata is generated and written to a serialized manifest. So this manifest is then cryptographically signed and stored as a detached signature in a separate file. RHTAS 1.3 also introduces model validation operator, which helps in verifying models before they reach production. So ensuring only trusted AI models are loaded into the OpenShift namespace. Think of it very similar to the admission controller for container images. For enterprise operations, we have introduced fine-grained high availability controls to configure pod affinity, set up multiple replicas, and define resource limits to handle peak loads or failures. We have also made transparency and monitoring better by continuously checking our recode logs to make sure they haven't been tampered with. Plus, we have added cloud storage options like S3 and Google Cloud Storage so you can store attestations more flexibly. In short, RHTAS 1.3 gives you comprehensive, enterprise-ready protection across your entire software supply chain, including your AI deployments. Next, over to Michelle.
Thank you, Veda. Red Hat Trusted Profile Analyzer, SBOM management and analysis. So new features for TPA 2.2 include AI bomb ingestion and labeling. Specifically, this means in a Cyclone DX 1.6 SBOM, if component equals machine learning model is set, TPA will label the SBOM as having AI parts for easy searching and filtering. This is the beginning of enabling users to easily identify AI components across the entire SBOM inventory. The SBOM ingestion and generation from Quay feature actually includes other OCI registries. Quay is walked and .SBOM files are ingested, and if none are found, we use SIFT to generate an SBOM and ingest. This feature is aimed at helping users to jumpstart their TPA inventory. The license search feature is an expansion of the in-SBOM license display. Users can already filter for licenses within an SBOM, and now they can search for licenses across the entire inventory. And finally, Red Hat Dependency Analytics, our IDE plugin for vulnerability analysis, backended by the public instance of TPA, now accepts multiple TPA sources, including private organization TPA instances. This means a developer can take advantage of their organization's TPA, which could have different importers and vulnerability sources. So next speaker, Jeff.
Thank you, Michelle. I want to give everyone an update on runtimes, and more specifically, we're going to talk about Quarkus. So the Red Hat build of Quarkus 3.27 is expected to release next month. This release has a number of new features, including updating to some of the Hibernate libraries, including ORM 7, React 3, and Search 8. We also have subscription-aware tooling. So now you're able to identify supported versus non-supported subscriptions. This helps organizations track license compliance, make sure that they optimize their license utilization, and they can avoid over or under licensing. We're also introducing Quarkus Chappy, which is an AI-powered assistant that enhances the developer experience while they're in dev mode. This allows them to integrate with the dev UI and also offers AI-driven support during development. I wanted to make you aware also of a couple other things. IBM announced at their Tech Exchange a couple weeks ago its intent to create an enterprise-grade distribution of Quarkus. So this will be the first time another organization has created a downstream distribution. This release is, while announced in early October, will be released in November next month. We have an FAQ for both Red Hat internal folks as well as partners if you want to learn more about that. And also planning for Red Hat build of Quarkus 4 is currently underway, and it's expected late next year or early 27. Thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to Jamie.
Thanks. I'll start by talking about Service Mesh. We're about to release OpenShift Service Mesh 3.2, which brings a game-changing new feature to GA that will significantly reduce the resource costs of Service Mesh. That feature is Service Mesh without sidecars with Istio's ambient mode. This is an all-new data plane for Istio that uses 2 levels of proxy to enable Service Mesh features as needed. The first proxy is the node-level Z tunnel, Z for Zero Trust, which provides layer 4 mutual TLS encryption, telemetry, and basic auth policies. It's a node proxy, but it redirects traffic within each pod's unique network namespace, ensuring that traffic is isolated and encrypted at the pod level. The next proxy is the application-oriented waypoint, which can optionally be deployed to provide layer 7 mesh features, such as telemetry and policies, based on application specifics like HTTP request headers or request types. Also of note is Cert Manager's Istio CSR agent will soon be providing end-to-end Cert Manager support with Istio. Quay is also introducing a new local mode for efficient debugging and observability of applications with service mesh. The upcoming release will be supported on OCP 4.18+. I'll now hand it over to Harriet for GitOps.
Thanks, Jamie. For the latest GitOps release is version 1.18. If you're new to GitOps, it is an operator for continuous delivery, and it's based on Argo CD, which allows you to declaratively automate your deployments of things like applications, cluster config, or any other resources. The highlights of our 1.18 release includes first-class support for OCI repos as an application source. GitOps in the OpenShift console has had a little UI update with a new menu item name. So instead of environments, you can now find it under GitOps. We've made some changes to how GitOps works with KeyCloak. So previously, the operator would install its own instance of KeyCloak for you. And as of this version, that's no longer the case. We now align with the recommended best practice from the KeyCloak team, which is that you would bring your own KeyCloak instance and connect directly with GitOps' existing OIDC support. And finally, this release includes 6 features from customer requests, including a namespace management CR, which allows tenants of an Argo CD instance to manage their own predetermined namespaces without requiring cluster admin access. I'll now hand over to Carlos to talk about pipelines and builds.
Thanks, Harriet. In this section, I'm going to cover the key updates for pipelines 1.20 and builds 1.6. First, an important announcement. The public Tecton hub at tecton.dev will be shut down in January 2026. We encourage you to start migrating your pipelines, and Artifact Hub is now the recommended replacement for resolving them. Our pipeline operator is now more scalable and secure as it manages CA configurations and RBAC separately and enforces read-only file systems on its pods. Additionally, build.ns task uses Kubernetes user namespaces isolation for builds. For those using pipelines as code, we have made significant enhancements. Now you can use relative paths for portable tasks, trigger pipelines more securely with JSON body parameters, supporting webhooks, and gain better traceability with pull request numbers included in the push events. In the console, you will notice improved task displays names that include parameters values, making it easier to see what's running. And to boost performance, Tecton results now can optionally skip storing incomplete pipeline and task runs. These updates provide more secure, efficient, and user-friendly CI/CD experience. Finally, build releases cloud-native build packs build strategy as general availability. Thanks, and now over to Siamak.
Thank you. Serverless 1.37 will be released alongside the OpenShift 4.20. In this release, we have a new integration sync that is added for AWS Event Bridge. There are integration built towards Cert Manager and Service Mesh 3 for Cert Manager, so that there's TLS certificates that are used for encryption. They can be created on demand through the Cert Manager and whatever is configured as the third authority behind Cert Manager. And serverless was already integrated with Service Mesh 2. In this release, we have done the verification that it works fine with Service Mesh 3 as well. In addition to those, the end-to-end TLS encryption that we had tech previewed previously for all the key native traffic is GA now. Next slide, please. We have a major release of migration toolkit for application. This is a downstream of the Conveyor project, upstream, and specifically what we're very excited about is the release of Conveyor AI using an LLM service to automate code generation for parts of migration, pieces of the migration that needs to happen, so that the tool also suggests what kind of code changes it has to make. And because it is aware of the migration context, it can do it much more accurately and more successfully than using generic LLMs for achieving the same type of migration. In addition to the GenAI assistant in MTA, there are improvements made for Cloud Foundry to OpenShift migration as well. In this release, the tool can look at If an application is deployed on Cloud Foundry, you can look at the runtime of application and look at the manifest and generate the equivalent manifest for the OpenShift platform and deploy them onto OpenShift. Next slide, please.
All right, hello everyone again. So we're excited to announce the technology preview release of the support log gather operator. So this has been a widely requested tool for some time now and makes the must gather tooling that is necessary when raising Red Hat support tickets available to the OpenShift cluster. So now we enable developers and generally non-privileged users within the OpenShift cluster to actually trigger log collection using the must gather tool underneath the hood. And this will hopefully simplify the support process for our customers by reducing the need for involvement of Kubernetes administrators. Also, we will enable users to optionally upload logs directly to a linked support ticket in connected clusters or via a proxy. And alternatively, if the logs do need to be cleaned via some form or cleaned of confidential information via tools such as must-gather clean, the tarball can be actually loaded into a persistent volume on the cluster without uploading to said support case. Now, of course, this comes with the embedded protection to ensure that no privilege escalation paths exist for non-privileged users attempting to use the operator. Now, off to Lynn for installation and updates. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. So for installation flexibility, we offer 4 use case-driven onboarding experience that provide varying level of control and automation. First, we have the automated the installer provision infrastructure, where the installer controls the full installation experience, including infrastructure provisioning with an opinionated best practices deployment from OpenShift. Second, we have full control or user provision infrastructure, where the user is responsible for provisioning and managing their own infrastructure using your, giving you greater customization and operational flexibility. Third, we have the interactive or connected experience with the assisted installer, which provides a web UIs that guides you through creating your cluster. Fourth, we have the local disconnected experience with agent-based installer, which provides a streamlined method to deploy OpenShift in restricted network environments, like fully disconnected or air-gap environments. So next, let's look into some of the features we have in this new release. Next slide, please. Our highlights starting with AWS, we have introduced customer managed DNS in developer preview. This allows OpenShift user to use their own, ensuring compliance with organizational policies. We've also expanded regional availability with support for Mexico and Taipei regions. On Google Cloud, you can now deploy OpenShift cluster using Share VPC and place your DNS management in a third separate service project. This is following Google recommended architecture and providing greater flexibility in your network design. On Azure, customer can now install OpenShift cluster with Azure Virtual Network Encryption and virtual machine scale sets within the same network. Second, OpenShift now support confidential virtual machines using Intel TDX technology, leveraging confidential computing to secure data in use. Third, on Azure, we've added the ability to configure additional disk at install time, allowing dedicated disk for etcd, container runtime, image storage, and swap. On Oracle Cloud, we bring our extensive update to focus on sovereignty. EU Sovereign Cloud has reached general availability. OpenShift is now available in the US and UK government clouds, and Oracle Cloud Isolated Region and Oracle Alloy are now available in technology preview. Handing off.
Thanks, Lynn. Good morning, good afternoon. Let me focus now on some changes in installation in infrastructure pipeline. Starting with bare metal, we are making things smoother. First up, we are extending Metal Cube firmware update to cover NIC firmware. This is going GA feature, meaning better hardware management out of the box. We are also bringing multi-arc support for virtual media, which is our first step. Next up, we will tackle PXE and network booting. Moving to VMware. For API installs, we are adding vSphere multi-need VMs creation support, which is a GA feature, super handy for complex networks. For machine sets, we are introducing support for more than one disk as a technology preview. And we are looking at how to add bare metal nodes into the existing cluster, OpenShift cluster, which is a developer preview. On the IBM side, we are extending our hosted control plane with IBM Z control plane supporting x86 node pools. We are also making improvements to multi-arc builds using OpenShift pipeline and Big One, enabling accelerators for both IBM Z and IBM Power Platforms. Finally, in multi-arc, we are working on making it possible to automatically migrate your control plane to ARM-based system on GCP. I hope you will enjoy using those features and share your feedback. Next slide, please. Now let me focus on a highly expected feature for air gap deployments. Following a successful run as a developer preview in 4.19, we are delighted to announce that the disconnected and registryless installation for OpenShift virtualization is now available as a technology preview in OpenShift 4.20.z. This is the next steps toward general availability in upcoming releases. Our commitment to simplify air gap deployments. Our goal remains the same. Simplify the disconnected installation process. This installer has a beautiful guided UI, removing the need for separate external image registry. We have given you the same streamlined user experience you expect from the assisted installer UI, meaning no more manual YAML files preparation. You simply download a single comprehensive ISO file that includes Red Hat CoreOS, OpenShift, and pre-selected key operators for OpenShift virtualization. This is the beginning of a larger journey. We will continue work in upcoming releases, focusing on extending this registryless architecture to easily handle day-to operations like upgrade without relying on an external registry. If you are interested in this feature, the blog link is on the slide. Please take an advantage of this technology preview, test this simplified onboarding, and share your valuable feedback with us. Now, I'll hand over it to Pierre.
Yeah, in Shift and Stack 4.20, Manila CSI now supports multiple seeder assignments per volume, further improving availability zone awareness and flexibility. In Rosso 18 FR4, we will GA the OpenStack workload optimization service. Based on the upstream OpenStack Watcher project, it will enable the cloud administrator to create data policies that will help avoid infrastructure congestion, improve instance performance, and help with maintenance planning and execution. We will also improve the native OVN BGP support, removing the dependency on kernel routing, and as a result, simplifying the deployment and enhancing performance. Native OVN BGP will also enable feature functionalities such as BGP, EVPN, and FTP. Next slide please, and over to you, Subin.
Thank you. So in OpenShift 4.20, we added 2 commands to improve OpenShift update experience. The first command is OC-ADM upgrade recommend. This provides 2 features which will help our cluster admins while they update OpenShift cluster. The first feature is it shows you the versions which are recommended for the next update. So this kind of provides you a freshness of which version the next version is for updating. So for example, if you are making a decision on the version, like say 3 months back or 2 months back, if you keep using recommend command, you can know what's the next fresh version which is recommended by this command. The other feature is the pre-check feature. We added a list of alerts which you might miss before you trigger an update. So it lists all these alerts which can affect an update. So if you go and fix these alerts, your update is going to be successful. Next slide, please. The next command we added is OC-ADM upgrade status. This shows you an ongoing update progress. This has been a long-standing request from our customers to show all the operators and node updates as it happens. This is also a read-only command like the recommend command. Please try it out and give us a feedback. Next slide and over to Marina. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Sudan. And now let's talk about OC Mirror, the essential tool for mirroring OpenShift registry for deployment in disconnected and air-gapped environments. First, we have implemented upfront validation. Now, OC Mirror checks credentials, host name, and certificates before the caching process begins. This speeds up the overall mirroring workflow, allowing users to fail quickly and address underlying issues much earlier. Next up, enhanced Helm support. Previously, OC Mirror would attempt to mirror all values referenced via image paths in deployment environment variables, even non-image references like log levels, leading to failures. Now, the tool can correctly identify and mirror only the necessary container images. Finally, a valuable quality of life improvement. For easier troubleshooting, OC Mirror now prevents log files from being overwritten in the same working directory. A timestamp is automatically added to each new log file. And now to next slide, Ramon.
Thank you, Marina. In the OpenShift control plane, three main areas in this release on the security side of things. In OpenShift, we have a platform certificate automation fully managed by the platform. And with the improvements that we have introduced in this release that we call the hitless TLS certificate rotation, you will see no downtime of any API services, even under heavy load or including in SNO deployments, which are more pressured by all the services running in one node. More on TLS. In this case, after a few releases actually of work, we have compiled what we call an internal TLS registry. This is a TLS registry containing metadata for all certificates in OpenShift, including ownerships and rotation details. This is not something that you extract directly from OpenShift, but it's a registry for everyone working with the OpenShift platform to have information in a standard way that allow us to know rotation details, ownership details, and so forth. Then scalability. This is a topic theme that we are working on this release and in the next future releases as well, similar to the hitless TLS certificate rotation. In this case, what we have done is improve the defaults of the go away chance. Basically, this will automatically distribute the HTTP connections across all the pods in the different hosts for the API server, preventing overload. This is difficult to see, but you will see it in very large deployments, which are more and more often common. And then to finish, the documentation includes, we introduced this in 4.19, a new section called the HCD documentation section. This is a section dedicated to the control plane. And in this release, we've been focusing on consolidating content that you would find only available in articles, things related to the latencies that we support and other areas that are important when you really need a super performant OpenShift cluster. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Ramon. Security Policy Controller enforces supply chain security policies on container images before they are deployed. So before you pull the image, you can enforce the policy on a cluster level using cluster image policy or on the namespace level using image policies. Next slide. And once you have the image pulled, you can verify it with their own PKI. Next slide and next presenter.
Thanks, Gaurav. The Network Observability Operator version 1.10 introduces an interactive command line tool that brings a set of UI components such as buttons, drop-downs, pop-ups, and tables all in your terminal. Specifically, we've added customizable columns, smart filtering, packet preview, and in-terminal line charts. Within the console, the network health and alerting page is a tiled view with a heat map of network alerts. For example, a namespace that has exceeded a threshold of packet drops that might require attention. The new performance evaluator provides a slider widget to adjust the sampling rate that gives you a choice between accuracy and impact on resources. The new installation wizard and improved flow collector and flow metric forms offer a simplified setup. We've drastically reduced the number of visible settings for a much easier configuration without compromising the most essential choices. Finally, there's also a new network policies compliance evaluator that provides observability of OpenShift's default network policies to restrict ingress, egress, and inter-cluster traffic of OpenShift components, non-application traffic. Next slide, please. Thanks. 420 adds Bluefield 3 DPU as tech preview. The support is based on a new architecture which has DPF, which is NVIDIA's Docker platform framework operator at the core. DPF is responsible for provisioning and lifecycle management of the DPU. The key benefits to a customer deploying Bluefield 3 can be summarized as data plane acceleration, security isolation, and dynamic compute capacity expansion. The deployment consists of 2 OpenShift clusters with infrastructure workloads on the DPU infrastructure cluster and application workloads on the tenant cluster. This frees up compute capacity for tenant workloads and improves the security posture by separating the infrastructure and tenant workloads. Support for Bluefield 3 also paves the way for additional Docker services such as Firefly, Snap, and Docker telemetry service, in addition to third-party network function support. Please reach out to Gurpreet for any Bluefield 3 customer conversations. And with that, I will hand it off to the next presenter, Chris.
Good afternoon. So I'm here to talk about Red Hat Connectivity Link, and we're happy to announce the release of version 1.2 next week. The next release brings a lot of new features, hardening of existing features, and begins to really paint the roadmap of where Connectivity Link is heading. The first of our highlighted features is our new custom policy extensions, which allows you, the user or the operator, to provide simple low-code approach to defining auth workflows, API plans, and more extensibility with your telemetry. The second of the highlighted features is around Connectivity Link's focus around AI Gateway. In this release, we have created a new token-based rate limiting policy for controlling access to your AI workloads by setting limits on tokens, as well as token metrics for evaluation of performance, efficiency, and resource consumption. We are also proud to announce the Core DNS upgrade from developer preview to tech preview, new RHCL image builds for ARM environments, and a new seamless WASM plugin installation. So please check out the 1.2 release of Red Hat Connectivity Link next week, and I'll hand it off to Marina in Operator Framework.
Thank you, Christopher. And now let's talk about Operator Lifecycle Management Framework, the OLM. OpenShift's robust security posture is built on continuous improvement. As part of our ongoing hardening efforts, we have now added 2 key features: network policy support directly within OLM itself and OLM bundles, and the use of a read-only file system for all OLM internal components. Next on the list, performance improvements. We heard your feedback on slow catalogs and invested significant effort across multiple areas to address these concerns. Though optimization is perpetual, expect a noticeable difference now. Please upgrade and give us your feedback. Finally, let's talk about the latest addition to OLM v1, our next-gen operator framework, introduced in OpenShift 4.18. In this release, we have added webhook support for operator bundles. When combined with single namespace support from 4.19, we get a much broader compatibility for existing catalog content. And now to storage. Gregory?
Yes, thanks, Marina, and hello, everyone. So, okay, let's start our storage update with CSI drivers improvements. So in 4.20, we added support for Azure Disk to provision Azure Performance Plus Disk. Feel free to test it. On the EFS side, we added support for one zone file system. This is an EFS storage option that stores data redundantly, but in a single AZ. We also revamped the EFS cross-account documentation, making it easier to follow for both STS and non-STS clusters. Next, on the core side, so we're pleased to announce the general availability of volume populators, which kind of enable automatic data pre-filling of persistent volumes. Also, very anticipated feature, the SC Linux context mount feature for RWX and RWPVs is graduated to tech preview. In a nutshell, this allows SC Linux context to be set at the volume mount time instead of doing it recursively on every file. Next, we're introducing change block tracking as a developer preview, enabling storage and backup partners to build and test integration into OpenShift. Last but not least, we are adding 2 new storage-related namespace labels. So the first one, FS Group Change Policy. This label lets admins set a default FS Group Change Policy at the namespace level. Very useful. Then we have SC Linux Change Policy, which is similar but for SC Linux. So I'll explain. Some pod deployment will not be compatible with the new context mount feature, the one we just introduced as tech preview. This new label lets admin opt out of the feature at the namespace level before it goes default in a future OpenShift release. The same parameter can be set at the pod level if you want to opt out on a per pod basis. So more details on how pods can conflict in the future and what to do about it will be available in the 420 documentation. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now on to ODF. We have 4 major updates. First, on the regional disaster recovery, we are introducing support for multi-volume applications, better support for application with execution hooks in recipes, independent VM DR control within namespace, and tech preview for Multus. Talking about Multus, we now support it with IPv6. Next, for customers who are automating test cluster redeployments, they can now use a forceful deployment flag, which will automatically reset environments without having to clear the data manually. Last but not least, harm support is now graduated to tech preview and available to anyone interested in testing it. And that is it for storage. Handing over to Robert.
Thanks, Gregory. The Telco Core Reference Design Specification, or RDS, is Red Hat's recipe on how to configure all the required ingredients to deliver clusters ready to onboard 5G core workloads. It is a living document. We update it with every OpenShift release. This allows us to include new features and refine the existing blueprint based on production feedback we receive from our customers and partners. A feature delivered in OpenShift needs to be tailored to fit into RDS. Why? So we can provide end-to-end configuration that passes our telco CI and meets our telco KPIs. And the recipe gets subtle when adding high core count servers, AMD Turin and Intel Sierra Forest, for example. Here, we must ensure that the low-level configurations, typically CPU and IRQ pinning, as well as workload partitioning, permit the OpenShift control plane to run safely on the same server as the 5G core workload. Ultimately, the RDS ensures that performance and determinism are always met while simultaneously provisioning the means to maximize the utilization of those high core count servers. 420 is an exciting release for Telco Edge. We're adding support for 2 very important new platforms. We've been working hard with our partners at Intel to enable their next generation platform, CPU, and networking cards. The Intel Xeon 6 SoC, commonly referred to as Granite Rapids D or GNRD, brings higher performance and more CPU cores, as well as moving advanced timing capabilities from previous generation networking cards onto the platform. This is a critically important platform for Red Hat's RAN ecosystem. 4.20 will have most functionality supported, but some of the advanced timing features, namely Telecom Boundary Clock and Telecom Grandmaster, will not be available until Q1 2026. Additionally, OEM hardware is not available at the time that 420 GAs. 420 is ready for network equipment providers to prove they can make a first call using this platform, and when the advanced timing features are finalized and OEM hardware is available, Red Hat will backport and regression test everything on a 4.20Z in Q1 next year to declare the platform is fully functional. In short, NEPs can prove today that they can make calls on GNRD with OpenShift. And in a few short months, this platform will be ready for production at scale. Another critically important platform, especially for AI RAN, is NVIDIA's Grace Hopper platform. We're adding support for single-node OpenShift and multi-node OpenShift deployments. We've ensured that all RAN-related operators are supported for ARM, and we have validated all of our RAN functionalities for this platform, like zero-touch provisioning and our image-based technologies. We're done full regression and KPI testing, and we've updated our reference design specification to describe our recommended configuration. Now I'll pass it on to Daniel to talk about Microshift.
Thank you, Rob. Finally, let's look at Red Hat Device Edge and Microshift, which is our small form factor Kubernetes distribution targeting edge devices. My personal highlight in this release is the generic device plugin. At the edge, you frequently need to access external devices like USB cameras, serial ports, etc. from inside a pod. Usually, this requires elevated privileges like host access. Kubernetes has the device plugin concept for this, which is mostly used by special purpose devices like GPUs. In this release, we introduced the generic device plugin, and that provides simple and secure access to generic devices that do not need a special driver. We also now support Cert Manager as an optional component on Microshift to simplify management of certificates. With that being said, this concludes the updates on the edge topics. Back to the studio. Balaji, please.
Thanks, Daniel. Before we wrap up, a quick reminder. OpenShift Commons Gathering happens Monday, November 10th, right here in Atlanta, in the US. Day one of the KubeCon North America will feature use cases across app development, virtualization, hybrid cloud, AI, observability, and security. If you're now signed up already, please register at the URL that's shown there. Hope to see as many of you there as soon as possible. And first of all, thanks for staying through the whole session and watching it. Thanks for joining us today and staying with us till the end. This video is also recorded and it will be available shortly. Take care.